in the queue. My dog kept bringing her bone to my feet and chewing on it, so and the audio was getting picked up. So, yeah, so we're going to be continuing on with the Jaeger Co rebuild. So not much changed since the last stream. I did go through and kind of set up the image uploader. It's not 100% done yet, but so I created an edge component called File Manager that uses inertia to kind of create a JavaScript state that handles drag events, drop events, change events, and essentially allows for the upload of multiple images. And then that is just used in the create or edit. I don't have it actually persisting onto the post yet. And I don't have, since I don't have it persisting to the post, I don't have it actually, here it is, setting existing images onto it. So it would reset even if they were saving onto the post. So that's really all that I changed. And I did verify that the social authentication issue that we were having was because of I got the environment variable wrong for that. So I got either the secret or one of the other ones wrong on it. So it actually does work now. Actually, I think I already have my user created. Yeah. So you can see here's the user. And the username actually comes through as my full name instead of an actual username like this would be. So that's what that slugification was for. So I need to go through, add that back in, but let me delete that user and show you that that is actually working real quick. So we'll delete me and come back to, and I never did fix the scroll issue. My bad. I completely forgot about that. Oh, cool. Okay, my workaround's still in place, so that works. So yeah, go ahead, hit the G button, hit my email, and there we go. So we're logged in now. This is just a placeholder avatar. I don't have that. It's not per account. It's just a hard-coded string if you're logged in. And so now if I refresh this, we should see there's my user. So I need to delete that yet again, but you can see that whenever you authenticate via social auth, you don't have a password, but you do have access tokens. So that's why the password needed to be nullable whenever I was making that change in the last stream. So let's go ahead and get the username set up, and then we can go ahead and test the GitHub authentication as well. So I actually forgot to do my pre-check work and find a package to use for this. So let's go find a package. I'm sure JavaScript would work just fine, but we'll go with whatever. So this the second result was the one that I was using before that I was getting import issues with. So we'll try this one. I looked. I don't believe the AdonisJS Slugify that we're using for the post. No, that's on the model. That we're using for the post slug right here exports its slugification, slugify method. I don't know why I'm calling it slugification. So that's why I'm looking for a different package, because this time we're going to be doing it specifically inside of a service before something's saved. And it needs to overwrite any existing value. So I could manually bend the AdonisJS Slugify package to do that, but I think it would just be easier to find a separate package to do it. So this one looks fine. Let's go ahead and try to find what its package name is. Probably just, yeah, the Slugify. Okay. So we'll try this one. Okay. And we'll go ahead. Where was that? That was in... Oh, I also cleaned up the services. So you know how I created an HTTP context service? So I renamed that to base HTTP service, and I moved all of the ones that are going to be extending that inside, which currently is just the Auth social service, inside of an HTTP folder within services. That way it's kind of structured similar to the controllers, right? So any service that's going to be explicitly for HTTP requests, I'm going to put within services HTTP, and it will extend this base HTTP service that then provides the HTTP context to that service via this. So All these other ones, I think I just have as static functions at this point in time. So yeah. And then this is the asset service. So this is something else that's new as well. I think all that this does is apply sharp alterations, which I don't have in place yet. So that's something that we might get around to either this stream or the next stream. So essentially, I have my images to where I can request them. So let's go take a look at that. Let me show that real quick. So if I inspect this image, you'll see it's doing image, and then it's got my UID, and then it's got like the image file name. And it's got this query param with a W equals 1100, which is really big. I need to change that. That's really big for that slot. But it's also got source images. Altering it to WebP, altering it to different sizes. Actually, it's probably using this 550 right here. So essentially, I can tack on any other width, and this service will then take that and apply a sharp alteration to it. And then either, I don't think it's in the service, but it's in the controller. So in the assets controller, then on the get show here. There we go. I was previously using Node Cache, but I'm going to switch this to Redis. But essentially, it will cache it. It will save whether or not the image is cached. The cache will actually save out onto my spaces. I use DigitalOcean spaces to save everything. And it will save that altered version. So the cache is literally just saying whether or not a cached version of that image exists on spaces. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll get into that. Probably, I doubt it'll be at the end of this stream, but it'll probably be in the next one. But yeah, as I was saying, let's go ahead and finish up the social auth. So social auth service, what was I going to do? Oh, Slugify, right. So just import Slugify from Slugify. That was a default export. Yeah. Okay. And then down at the bottom here, I had this commented out because I felt like I might need it. So all we need to do is, okay, cool. The file name's the same. We'll check whether or not we need to change any of the arguments to that here in a second. And then I also need to import the database module as well. And then we'll just do a like to determine whether or not we'll get what the latest incrementation of the particular username is. So like if I were to sign up with Google and it tried to save my username as Tom Gobage, and then if I were to try to sign up with GitHub, which uses a different email, it would then, save as a different user. But my name is the same, so it would try to save Tom Gobage as the username again. This will check for that, and if Tom Gobage already exists as the slugified username, it will tack on the occurrence length to the end of it. Similar to what the AdonisJS Slugify package is doing, just this time we're doing it inside of our own service function. So now all we need to do is, oh, look at that, even had this just commented out. So await this.get username, and then actually use this. So it should just be a matter of that, I think. Why is that red? Username exists. Oh, it's voidable. Are you nullable? Oh, no, I'm not returning. Okay, well, that would help. Actually, I can just, instead of resetting username, I'll just return it. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now it's good. So let's go. Did I delete my user? We'll go ahead and test this again. I did. Yeah, okay. So head back into here. We'll come back to sign up. We'll try Google again. Okay, expecting one binding, saw 2. I'm going to assume that's something going wrong with that slugification. Expected one binding, saw 2. Pardon my dog. Okay. So let's make sure that that's actually just returning back a string. And then we'll see what we get here as well. So we'll go back, try this again, see what we got in the consoles. Yeah, so we got the username, so it must be on that DB query. So I think I said this in the last stream, but this was previously specifically for MySQL. So I don't know. I'm very used to MySQL, not all that used to Postgres, which is what I'm using now. So I feel like it might be something with that query. Let me try altering it real quick just to see. So we'll do const occurrences equals 08. Oh, correct me. Okay, users dot, and then we'll just do where. Is there? Yeah, we could do like just a simple where like to test this out. So where username is like, and then let's do. Well, so our alteration's only on the end, so we would only want the like wildcard to be on the end. And then we'll tack username right in there. I think that should do it. So we'll see if that works. I have a feeling it's something with that R like. Yeah, okay, there we go. And so the Slugify did not lowercase it. I would prefer lowercase, but that's not the end of the world. We'll see if that's an option real quick, I guess. Oh yeah, lower. Replacement, remove characters that meant regex defaults to undefined. Trim. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and set lower to true. Well, I don't know. That's not the end of the world, though. Yeah, we'll keep it for now. Keep it as is. And what the heck? I'll go ahead. You see how undecisive I am with this. Sure. Lower is true. And I'll go ahead and just keep this for right now. It's probably not exactly what I'm looking for, but I will do a search later on to find what the Postgres version of that R-like is. Okay, so we have our Google version working. Let's verify whether or not GitHub is working. Cool, GitHub's working, and you can see the username would have come back the exact same. I actually need to do a unique check to make sure that, because I want that to be unique cased as well. So that would come down on the validator. So, nope, that's post store. So the actual validator for this is inline. So it would be within the auth controller. And actually it doesn't hit that, does it? Nevertheless, that unique check also needs to be case insensitive. So let's see. That would, I guess it would be right on my query where I previously had this, right? So actually, since we're lowercasing it to begin with, that would automatically take care of that for me. So let's go ahead and just test it. Let's get rid of the Google, and then we'll try to create it again just to make sure that the actual incrementation is working. Forgot how to delete. It's the delete key, Tom. There you go. So we'll sign out. We'll sign back up with Google. Cool. All right. So you can see now it's Tom Gobage with a 1 at the end because now it needs to be unique. We already have a Tom Gobage in there, so it needs to increment itself. So that's working good. And then you can see the avatar URLs coming in with this as well. So why don't we go ahead and make use of that? And then we can go ahead and tack a gravatar default on the one that's not using social auth. Excuse me. So let's see, we can normalize this within the model by using a computed property. Sorry, I need to do a bigger cough. So let's go down. I like to do these before all of the relationships and all that. Do computed. I think these are public get, if I remember right. And then that was saved in the database as avatar URL. So I think I'll just name this avatar. And then let's also install Gravatar. I think that's the package name. Okay. And I don't remember how exactly you use Gravatar. I know it's really simple, but I think you need to pass the email in a specific way. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Okay. So we'll do if this avatar URL, then we just return the avatar URL. Otherwise, we need to get the Gravatar. No, I'm not using. Is that it? I didn't specify node. Nope, that's it. Okay. So it looks like it's just Gravatar URL, and then you pass in an email along with any options that you need. Okay, it's simple enough. Otherwise, return gravatar.url, and then we would do this dot email and pass in. I'm gonna assume S is the size, so it'd be the square size. It's probably 40 would be okay. It's not that big. So we'll give that a save, and then we'll head into the header. Is it just header? I think it's just header. And we need to find it. Nope, that's not quite it. Here's the auth check. So it would be this right here. So instead of doing that, we should just be able to do auth user and then avatar. So give that a save. Let's see if it works. Yeah, okay, cool. So there is my Gmail avatar. It's really old. And then we'll sign in with, and I did not apply that fix here, but let's see if I get rid of the DevTools if I can reach it. All right, yep. There's another really old picture of me. And then we will try our Gravatar user. And there is our Gravatar. I'm sure there's like the specific show different image than just the Gravatar logo, but that works for now. All right, so all of that seems to be working okay. Let's go ahead and, so right now we can be logged out and still head into the studio posts. If I can spell it right, we can head into there. And we'll just get errors because it'll actually try to fulfill the request, but there's no authenticated user to query stuff off of. So Studio, in order to reach it, you need to be authenticated. So let's go ahead and add that in. I'm going to minify all this stuff. Get it out of the way for right now. And let's see, do we already have a middleware? I cannot remember whether or not it comes with a auth middleware. It does. All right, so our redirect to is not quite sign or log in, but it's sign in. So we'll change that. And everything else should be okay. So we'll head into our routes. If I was smart, I'd put all of this inside of a studio. Yeah. So we'll tack a middleware onto this. It's going to need more than auth, so I'll put it inside of an array for right now. And then since, yeah, okay, I commented it out here, I think just for testing, but we'll need it on the assets API as well. So we'll give that a save. And unable to connect. Oh, yeah, okay, I gotta add it. Thank you, error. So we'll go into the kernel, gonna add it into a named one. What am I using today as auth? I think I'm using it as auth. Import app middleware auth. Okay. Uh, Royman, sorry, I'm horrible with names. It says, can you please tell me how to handle file uploads and requests in AdonisJS? So that varies based off of what exactly you need to do. So like I would have loved to have used Drive, but for me it was just easiest to copy over what I had last and then work on updating to using AdonisJS Drive at a later point in time. I'm handling it 100% manually, so I'm actually reading the streams. So you can see I've got request multi-part on file, and then I'm grabbing the file via its name of image, and then I'm getting the extension, creating a custom file name for it. My byte size doesn't work. I never bothered with figuring that out because it's not that big of a deal to me. And then I'm uploading it using my storage service. I know that this is probably not the in-depth level that you're looking for, but then I have this storage service which points to what directory within my storage I want this to be saved to. So if I'm in development locally here, I have everything saving to local so that I can just purge it every once in a while. And then anything in production saves to public. And then I'm using DigitalOcean Spaces, which is very similar to just using the AWS SDK. So I'm actually using the AWS SDK to upload. So everything here is essentially the same as you would use to use the AWS SDK. But if you're not looking for that level of control, there is a library Adonis has. It's a first-party library called Drive. I would heavily recommend going through this documentation page. It makes files very easy to handle. And I mean, really all that you need to do is set your configuration. You don't have to read the file as a stream like I'm doing. So I would definitely recommend this approach, especially if you're just getting into file uploading. And it supports S3. Like I said, I'd love to get my code over to using this in the future because it just makes things entirely more readable than what I have. So yeah, I definitely recommend going through this documentation page for that. And I'll have a separate lesson on it later on in the Let's Learn series. Did I ever fix this? Yes. Okay. So now if we try to go to Studio and Posts, we should be redirected right back to the sign in, which we are. And then if we actually sign in, and now we go to Studio Posts, we're allowed. So that works a-okay. And that should be for the entirety of Studio, which at this point, I think we just have the posts, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, these aren't even going to actual pages, they're just going to hashtags. So, all right, so that was easy. What else do we have? Let's see, let's take a look at my list. So, social authentication, not completely done. We still need to add in the profiles. I meant to, before this stream, go through and finish up all of the models and migrations. I didn't want to bore you guys with porting all of that over, but we'll see. And then add auth and role check to Studio. Yeah, so actually role. So the way I have it right now is if you're an administrator, you see the dashboard, you see posts, series, topics, and comments. And then if you are not an administrator, you see settings and maybe something else. Maybe you do get dashboard, but dashboard was never completed. So I always save dashboards for last. It's just a habit of mine, I guess, because well, you need stuff to actually put in it before you can actually do it. But then I just never get around to it. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you're an admin, you should be able to see post, series, topics. And, you know, maybe comments was public too, because then if somebody replied to your comment, it was visible there. So we'll just do post, series, and topics if you're an admin for right now. So let's do a new middleware. we'll call this, we'll do it unspecific to a role. We'll specify the role whenever we define the middleware. So I don't want to just name it admin. Studio access? No, it needs to be a role. Sure. It works for now. It's better than never thinking of. So let's see, let's go ahead. This is going to be a named one, so we'll go into our kernel. Role. Import app, middleware, and role. And then, let's see, did the arguments come in directly in here? I don't 100% remember. I think they do. No, that's next. That wouldn't be it. I'm gonna look. Don't mind me, I'm gonna look. See if it's in the documentation real quick. Middleware. Okay, that makes sense. It was the next one. So, right? Guards, passing, name, middleware, runtime. Yeah, that's it. Guards. Which is a string array? Yes. Okay. And we're going to make that required. So, okay. What we need to do is I have my roles as an enum. And what we need is the authenticated user. So we'll do auth. So we'll do const auth role ID equals auth user role ID. If, yeah, well, then we need to get the guard role ID. Let's see. Roles. Yeah, so we'll do object.keys. Match it to the key. Is it role? Just role? That did not seem to import from anywhere. Let me go ahead and just import it directly. So import, I'm gonna name it rolleenum from app enums roles. Rolleenum dot, yeah, no, just rolleenum. So there's those will be the keys. So that will work. And then we will map it to lowercase. Okay, and then we will do. Well, no, that's not the guard role keys. That's just the role keys. And then we'll do const guard keys equals guards.map. And then if I have a tendency to overthink things whenever I'm trying to also talk through it. Objects possibly undefined. Yeah, it's fine. So really what we want is not just the role keys and match it against the guard keys. We want the role key that the authenticated user has. So const auth role key equals role keys. What? Okay, I'm overthinking this. Const, just a simple search term. All right. const auth role key equals object dot keys. No, rolleenum. Rolleenum dot find key dot to lowercase equals, but no, you need the ID. So we need values of that, which then this is a number. So we'll do ID equals auth role ID, in which case we will return back. Yeah, that just worked. That'll work fine. Auth role ID. Oh no, that is duplicate. So instead of doing this, we'll do auth user role ID. We'll get rid of that. Okay. Is that even pointful? Why am I doing that? I'm sorry. Const. All right, you know how to do this. I don't know why you're having such a hard time here. So you want to get the ID that the authenticated user has, and you want to get the key for that. Well, why not just turn these into the IDs? That would be easier. Tom, come on. All right, so you have the guards. So then all that you need to do is return back a map of role enum, and then that is that, yeah, k dot to uppercase. That works for the roles that I have. So that's not the guard keys, but the guard IDs. Guard role IDs. And then if auth user role ID, need to do includes. So if guard role IDs includes, oh my gosh, finally got it. Sorry that took me so long. Mental lapse. Ugh. And then we need to do the negative. So if not, then we need to throw an exception. My goodness. So, 'We'll make an exception for that. So what? That would be like not authorized. Not allowed. What's the? I don't quite remember the verbiage for the HTTP code. Unauthorized. Yeah, okay, 401. So there we go. And I'll delete not authorized. I was close. Oh, no, exceptions. All right. And goodbye. Okay. And then I don't quite remember what I usually do for these off the top of my head. Let me go look. So I know I already have one. I think I just pass it to the super. Oh, see here I called it not allowed. Yeah, okay, so I just pass it into the super. Key. Easy enough. Oh, that was for a 403 though, so we'll do it. Okay. And then E, unauthorized. There might already be an Adonis. Not an. Authorized. Okay. And then all that we need to do is whenever we want to throw it, just pass it in a message. So here, throw new unauthorized exception. And I'm going to just put a default message in place so that we can just provide it like that. Because for the most case, that's going to just need to be the same thing. You're not authorized to perform this action. Okay. There we go. All right. Took me forever, but I finally figured out what I needed to do for that. And then let's go ahead and down in, did I already add it? Yeah. Okay. So role is what I called it. So now we just need to apply it to just the specific studio. Here's studio. So posts, so we'll just tag it onto each group as it's applicable. So that would be post, series, and topics. So do middleware, role, and then what is it? Is it colon or is it just comma? Colon then commas. All right, so then this would just be admin. So we'll test it out, see if it works. I don't think I changed any of my current users to admins, so we'll also need to do that. Where's the role ID? Oh, here it is. Are they all admins? What's one? One's most likely basic. Just a normal old user. Where's my enums? Yes, one is user, two is admin. So we'll go ahead and make Google the admin, since that'll actually be the account I'll end up using. So there we go. And so I'm logged in currently as, I don't remember. So we'll just sign back in. We'll try test user 1 first. Good old test user to test things out. So we'll also need to hide these since they're no longer applicable. But whenever we go to posts, there we go. There's our E unauthorized. You're not authorized to perform this action. So far so good. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and test Google. Okay, now we should be able to see posts. Oh no! I did update it, right? I did push the update. I might not have. Let's try that again. Give it a refresh just to make sure everything's good. Okay. Yeah, okay, there we go. I guess I didn't actually update it. So now we're good there. And then for sanity's sake, we'll test GitHub as well. And there we go. Okay, cool. So let's go back to Google and we'll verify that we can still, no, I don't want to sign up. I want to sign in. That we can still create posts and all that stuff. So we can see the create post form. If we publish, we should get back an error, which we do. If we create one with the verbiage of testing. All right, cool. So everything seems to be working. Okay, delete, did not delete. So I guess that's the next thing to look at. I don't know if I broke that whenever I implemented the table. I'm pretty sure that we had it working. So I must have. Either that or it could be something with the admin check, but I doubt it. That wouldn't just break that. So let's go take a look and see why that delete's not working. So that would be what? Views, studio, index. All right, so we have a for method of post, and that's providing the actual method as delete, posting to studio, post destroy with an ID of scope row ID. Well, off the top of my head, that looks right. So let's, I suppose, see if, well, did the page refresh or did it just tack that query string on? Yeah, okay, so the page does refresh. So let's head into that delete column. Let's see whether or not we're actually even just getting there. If we're not getting there, then we'll try to remove the middleware. If we are getting there, then we need to check and see what the heck the param is. So we'll do here, and let's go ahead and just pass in the params as well. We'll just go ahead and try to knock two birds with one stone. So then we'll hit delete. Let's check and see whether or not we got here. We did not. So it does look to be getting blocked by some form of a middle. Oh, you know what? Did I ever put the CSRF token in that form? That would be a good reason why it would stop working randomly. I did not. So there you go. CSRF field. All right. And so I don't have any toast system to send notifications quite yet. So I don't really have any way to tell myself exactly what the error is there, but all right. Go back and back again. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, so yeah. Now it seems to be something actually with the post. So it might have been something that I broke whenever I, probably something with a route. So let me take a look at the underlying route that that delete call has and see what the final one that actually generates out is. Well, yeah, that would be an issue, wouldn't it? It's just a form. It's got no submit. So either I put something in here wrong or I'm having a, oh, wait a minute. What's that extra form block doing there? That could cause some issues. All right, let's give this another go. There we go, now it's gone. Okay, so if I didn't already, let's go ahead and get rid of that console log that I put in the post controller. Yeah, okay. Cool, so that is, I'm happy it was just a stupid issue that I had with that. Let's see, what next? So social auth is working. We added an auth and role check. We need to actually finish that role check. So, because if I sign out, sign in, and use a non-admin account, if I go, I can still see the pages that I'm not that I don't have access to here. Currently, post is the only one that actually links anywhere, but ideally that shouldn't be showing. And then if I actually go into, well, none of these other pages actually have it. But if so, let's go ahead and just add studio or settings. Let's stub the settings page real quick because we'll need that eventually. But like if I were to actually go into settings, then within that little studio header, I also need to hide it there. So we'll add settings in just so I can actually see that with an unauthenticated user. Unauthorized user, I mean. So, nope, outside of posts. So we'll do route, group, prefix, settings as settings. We already have the auth middleware because it's in the outer group. So then we'll just do a route.get for the index page for right now. And do I have a controller for this? No. So we'll need to create a settings controller as well. And we'll just do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and create that controller really quick. Okay. Oh, I meant to, oh well, we'll just drag and drop it. Forgot to prefix it with studio. And then, oh, and I forgot to mark it as resourceful. That's all right. It's not all that resourceful. Public async index. view. And we'll put this at studio settings index. Yeah, that'll work for now. You can always change it. So that should all be good. Now we just need to stub that page. I'm just going to copy the post index, and then we'll just delete the table. So studio settings index edge. Oh, I copied the file, not the contents of the file. Okay, well, that doesn't help any. All right. And then we need to get rid of that table. So really, that's just all of the content minus the negative margin, which we'll just go ahead and get rid of that as well. And text settings on there. And that button needs to go away. I don't know whether or not that will have any button. And then the heading will change from posts to settings. Okay, so now with our non-admin user, we should be able to go, nope, I didn't actually rig up the, okay, well, let's go ahead and just do that real quick. Header, did I put these up to the top? Yeah, okay. Nope, that's comments. Settings, so route, studio, settings index, give that a save, missing token. Oh. Okay, so now we should be able to go down to settings, and yeah, so ideally, since this is a non-admin user, we want to hide posts, series, and topics and just have it be dashboard, comments, and settings. So we also need to do that for the drop-down as well. So the easiest way to do that for the drop-down is to tack on whether or not the user is a admin. However, we can do that at a more global place so that we don't have to actually perform that check in each place that we need to do it. I don't remember what I usually do for that, so let me go take a look what I usually do for that, and then we'll see whether or not we want to continue with that approach. Because I know I didn't have the best approach for it with the old project. But it doesn't hurt to actually look and see what I was doing. Actually, I think I just placed a config. Did I? No. Oh, wait. Settings? No, not quite. Okay. Well, I don't really remember what the heck I was doing with that. Could always just do something in the provider for it. Do something like user settings. Why don't we try that approach? There's always that Adonis package. I've yet to use it, but it does permission checking. I don't quite remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's in the documentation. But I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try putting like a settings within my actual. So we'll do this within a service, and then we'll just instantiate the service as a container or something like that, and then also pass it as a global to the view. So services, this will very much so be an HTTP service, and we'll call this settings service. Sounds appropriate for right now. So export default settings service extends base HTTP service. What do you mean you cannot find name setting service? Oh, I always do that. Forget to call it a class. Okay. And then, so we'll do, I guess just getters off of this would make sense. So we'll do get permissions. And then we will just return back a list of permissions. So, yeah, let's change this from, So then we'll do access, let's see what's the best nesting fit. Well, let's just roll with something and we can change it as we go if we feel that this is too verbose or something. So studio, yeah, that's definitely too verbose because you would be doing settings, permissions, access, studio, can. That's all right. So let's just kick it back one. Let's get rid of access. So studio, can, access posts, and then we'll have public get is admin, right? And this will just return back a Boolean, whether or not the current user is an admin, which we can take out of the role. Oh, no, we can't actually. I forgot that we didn't just do it admin middleware. So then we will just do return this ctx auth. Well, no, I think I just put the user directly off of that, right? I didn't. Are you sure? I thought I did. Yeah, get user right there. Oh, no. That would just be this dot user, not this ctx. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This user dot role ID equals import rollynum from app enums roles rollynum dot admin. All right, and then yeah, I'll go ahead and I don't want to explicitly make that. So, well, we can make that. Yeah, that make it safe. So then, really, all that we need to do is anytime that we want something to be bound specifically to the admin, we can just do this dot is admin. And then if we add any other roles, we can, simplify the checks by adding an additional is statement up here. So can access post, can access series, and then we can also do can manage posts, can manage series, can access topics, can manage topics. All right, I'm gonna put a break in between each set. There we go. And then we will do another one. Actually, I'll put this back off of here. Get is authenticated. Return this user. Wow, butchered that return. There we go. Return this user. And okay. There is a specific, I think, is authenticated check on the auth, but that'll work for right now. Can access dashboard. There's really nothing to manage on the dashboard whenever we actually get around to actually building it. So we won't have a manage permission. So you can access that if you're just authenticated. And then what's next? Comments. And this one you will be able to manage comments because they'll be bound specifically to you. And then the page itself will just determine whether or not you see all of them, whether or not you're an admin. So, and then last is settings. So, well, really these are pointless, right? They would just be true, but because we have the auth middleware on it, but we'll check that again here. Just, I don't know, for safety's sake, I guess. Can access settings. Can, yeah, sure. Okay. So then really all that we need to do is utilize these. And then once we get into the front end stuff, we can add non-studio stuff in here as well. And then we'll have other middleware checking whether or not you're an actual owner or admin of a particular post series or whatever. Since I'm the only one that posts to Jaeger right now, that is not very necessary because I'll be the only one that ever has access to the post series and topics. But back whenever I had the multi-tenancy and other people could post and all that stuff, that was very much a useful thing. So I'll put it in there just in case I ever change my mind in the future. It'll be there and be ready to go. But we'll worry about that later on in the development. So now we just need to utilize these and actually create the provider for it. So within our provider here, we can either, well, it wouldn't make sense to register it as a binding. We can put it on our HTTP context if we want. I don't know if that fully makes sense. For right now, we'll just leave it as a service, but it would be good for the view to have access to it. Yeah, we'll go. We'll go ahead and put it on the HTTP context. What the heck? Let's see. So that uses. Yeah. Okay. So we will do const settings service equals import app services HTTP settings service, and then we will do I'm blanking. See, this is the real reason why I make these lessons, so that I can refer back to them. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. So this is group. Did I title this one wrong? How to add a global property to your HTTP content. Oh, no, here it is. Just got to scroll down further down. So, gotcha. Okay. Got to do it in a middleware. Good old brain farts. All right, so node ace make middleware. Oh, what would be a good name for this? There we go. I'll just call this app state, and then within our kernel, we'll make this a global middleware. Actually, I think I have this on my previous project as well. Middleware, app state. So here we're going to want the request, no, the route. Well, we're going to want to just change this to CTX because we're going to want to place something on it. So CTX. Okay. If CTX dot route dot no request dot method equals, and then I'm trying to think. Yeah, let's just put this one on all of it. So import setting service. Oh, thank you. And then we will do const settings service equals new settings service. No, that does not need that. And actually, we'll just do ctx dot settings equals new settings service. And then we need to create a new contract to actually extend that. And then we'll have other things in here as well. Something specific to GET requests. So it will be more than just setting the settings service here, which is why it's named app state. So instead of just setting service middleware. So contracts. I do not already have HTTP context in here, so we'll create that. No, not S. There we go. Declare module. HTTP context contract, and then settings. How do I set this to an instance of a service? No, HTTP settings service, that's what it is. Okay. I doubt that'll work, but yeah. Because I don't think it's just like, I don't think it's that. It would need to be a specifically an instance of, because I think if I set it like this, then it would be looking for static properties on this, right? I don't know. We'll see if that works. I don't think it will, but we'll see if that works. I think I need to explicitly tell it that's an instance of it. I don't quite know how to do that with TypeScript. So we'll try this. We'll see if this works. So, all right. So if I do that, it seems happy with it. It seems not to be complaining, but there's permissions. There's okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that seems to be working. Cool. So then all we need to do is add it into Okay. I'm not 100% certain if that'll work. I'm normally, anytime that I add a view global, I do it within a provider. But I would think that should be okay, because that definitely gets reached before the view renders. But we'll see. We'll see if that works. So within our header, then, we'll go ahead and do that drop down first. So we'll do show, I guess. Yeah, that'll work. And here, then, we would want to do settings, studio, can access dashboard. We'll start with the dashboard. We'll see whether or not that works or throws an error. And then we'll just tack on a show true for the rest of these real quick. Okay, and then we will apply this. If I can find it. Right here. Okay, so really just wrap this up in an if. So if route.show. Okay. Probably be even better just to filter the studio routes, now that I think about it, rather than actually tacking an if on it. Let's see if that filter r.show. So we'll see if that works. Cannot read properties of undefined, reading can access dashboard. So studio is undefined there. I had a feeling that might have been the case. So let's see what we got going on here. Let's see whether or not settings is set at all, or whether that's something else entirely. So I will cut this out, replace it with just true for right now. And then drop an inspect here. Settings, and we'll see what we get. Oh my. Well, I was not expecting the whole HTTP context. Why would that be happening? Let me look and make sure I'm actually setting that right. So views and templates. That is a loud airplane. Sorry about that. Actually, it's probably in the reference. No, it wouldn't be. That's for actual usage. This would be more like the view module. Well, tell you what, actually, let me go. I know I have a ton of them on this project, so I'll just poke in here real quick. And all of these are set on the provider. Yeah, so I should be able to just set it directly the way that I am. So it might be the fact that I'm doing it within a middleware, but I don't exactly know why that would set, like, why that would come through as the whole HTTP context. So here you got CTX. Let me try const settings equals new settings service. CTX settings equals settings. And then instead of setting it off of the CTX, let's just do settings. No, it's no different. All right, well, let's see whether or not we can actually find settings on here then. It's circular. Yes. That's a very good point. It is. Extending the base HTTP service, which provides this .ctx. So that is very much so circular. So we don't want to do that at all. So instead, this would probably be better as a builder or something of the sort that doesn't return back necessarily itself, but something scoped within itself. So we'll do public. We'll want to, no, do public async. Would it? No, it wouldn't need to be async. So we'll do public, provide a build method on here. And what this will do is it will just return a cherry-picked portion of its settings. That way the HTTP context doesn't get carried through on it, and it's not circular. So this will work for right now. This is a good workaround for right now. So we'll do just cherry pick some of the things off of it. All right. Not exactly a builder, but it'll do for now. So app state then instead of doing this, we would want to instantiate it and then call build. Yep, in which case that's going to complain because the type no longer matches. So raises a whole other question. We'll probably just define a separate interface for it, right? Yeah, I would think so. Because I don't think that you can do, can you? I'm spitballing here. I don't know if that's valid. Doesn't look like it. A constant initializer is an ambient context. Okay. Yeah. So I don't think that is valid. So we will do another. I can either add that in as a contract or I can put it directly in the service. Probably just do it as a contract, I guess. Let's see. So settings.ts. And then what? Oh, nope, not you. You. No, not you. Where is it? So settings service. There you are. All right. So we'll probably need to define a type for permissions so that we can specify all of these booleans. Or we could grab the type right off of. I am not the strongest with TypeScript. Have not spent a whole lot of time devoted into learning it. So if I'm doing something that is absolutely way too over the top just to get something done here, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. So let's see. So settings would be then is admin, which is a Boolean, is authenticated, which is also a Boolean, and then permissions, which again, I don't know how to get the instance of settings. Maybe I can do no, okay. Worth a shot. Can I copy and paste that tooltip that showed up before that has all of that defined for me already? Copy it and paste. Yeah, all right, cool. That saves some time. Don't like that's a manual list, but I don't know how to go about doing that automatically. At least not off the top of my head without doing some digging. So then this would just be permissions. And then on our HTTP context, instead of doing that, we would want to, I guess, do I need to import that contract? Import. Let's see, but neither of those were default, but we would just need settings from contracts settings. Is that good? Yeah. And then that becomes type of settings. Yeah. Okay. And then we need to check our app state, and it's still red. Types of property permissions are incompatible. Oh, right. It's inside of a studio. So, okay. So back down to settings. So this would really be, I don't know. Can I do an object with a, probably, but it would probably be easier to just do. Okay, are we clear now? Good. All right, so that was a big loop. All right, so back into, what is it, our header? Yeah, let's verify that now our settings are our settings and not the HTTP context. So probably give it a yeah. All right, cool, there it is. And so actually we can see I should be able to access, well, no, all of this is just defaulted. Oh, no, these are the actual settings, not what I have defaulted. So we should be able to access the dashboard. We should not be able to access posts, series, topics, or manage any of them. And then we can access and manage comments and settings. So there we go. I'll leave that inspect there for a second, and we'll just go ahead and apply these. So that would be settings, studio, can access dashboard. Then this one would be settings, studio, can access posts, can access series, can access topics, can access comments, and finally can access settings. So we'll give that a save. Oh man, I was so confident in it. Okay. So let's undo. Back to all trues. Verify for a second here. Permissions. Permissions studio. Okay. So it should be settings, permissions. So we'll do find and replace for settings dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. And then just remind me to fix that route because that's going to get matched too. So we'll replace that with settings dot permissions dot. Not as short as I would love it to be, but it's okay for right now. We could also add in a getter as well. So we could do like settings dot get can access settings. Or settings dot studio get can access settings or something like that. But this will work for right now. Can access comments. I must have named that something different. Oh, no, I didn't spell studio right. There we go. Okay, so now if we do the drop down, you can see now we just see dashboard, comments, and settings. So now we just need to do the same thing here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that inspect now. It served its purpose. And I'll probably go through some point later in the week and clean up the long key that we need here just to check a permission. Make that a little bit shorter. So I think that's in the settings layout or studio layout. Oh no, header studio. Okay. Okay, and good enough. So now I just need to replace this true with that settings check. Okay. Appearance is turned off, so we'll skip that. That's not even in the current code base. That was in the code base before it, but carrying it through. So back when other people were allowed to post, it never quite made it out to production, but there was a full set to where you could select your font choice and everything like that. So select your main and secondary colors, your grays, and all that fun stuff. So that's what the appearance page was for. Okay, so that should now be good So all that we need to do is tack on that filter to the end of this as well, and then it'll be good. So filter rr.show. Active? No, show. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. So it's kind of minified, but not minified, but smaller. Dashboard, comments, and settings is all that I can see. So now if I log out and sign in with Google, we should now see all of them. So there's, dashboard posts. If we go to settings, we can still see all of them, and we can still access posts as well. Okay. So what next should we tackle? We got auth and role checking done for Studio. Well, why don't we start with binding the image to the post, and then we'll start to, if we can get that working in a timely manner, we'll then take a look at pre-populating this image selector with any images already attached onto the post. So we'll try to take a guess at it first before I actually testing it. So let's see here. Let's take a look at first what I have the file manager actually attaching the image as, like the name. Asset IDs. Okay, and it's an array of them. So on our post validator, we need to ensure that we have asset IDs somewhere in here. I guess also I need to verify that that's one of the tables that I ported over. Yeah, asset posts and assets are right there. Okay. So schema.array. I guess that would be optional, because if you don't provide any, then it should be all right. Do I have this double defined? Or are you give me a red squiggly here? Members. Oh, yeah, okay. Do you take an array? Or is it? Go look real quick. I don't fully remember what the array validator type takes. Validator, array. Yeah, I didn't think it would need a whole object. Okay. Schema dot number. And then we would also want to do a rule check to make sure that the actual ID exists that we're passing in for each one of these. So we'll do rules dot exists, tables, assets, and column is ID. Okay. So now it should be coming through on our validator. Then on our posts controller, let's see, we'll want to do store first, I suppose. Instead of tagging it in with data and the like, we would want to do asset IDs, extract that out of the data, and then where we're also attaching in our posts, we'd want to essentially do the same thing with the IDs. So we'll await auth user related assets. Oh, did I not define the relationship here? Oh, no, this is from the user. Sorry. Await post dot related assets. There we go. Dot attach. And then this should already be an array of our IDs. But we have intermediary data. I don't remember if it's, yes, I do need to buy a license for you. Sort order, I don't remember whether or not that has a default value. Actually, I can check real quick. Structure. If it, no, it's not nullable and it does not have a default. So we will run into issues with that. So we do need to provide that. So we need to create that structure. And once we create it, then we'll extract it out into a service because it's not going to be the prettiest looking thing. So do const asset, sure, equals asset IDs dot, and then we'll want to reduce it. All right, something in the middle, and we'll start you off as an array. So, and then we also need the index. That's the third in the reduce, right? Yeah. So, essentially what we want to do here is on, we want to return previous, and then we want to tack on the current as, trying to decide how much of this. Let's see. So we want to do. We're going to be doing it via the post. So we don't need to provide the post ID, but we do need to provide the asset ID. And I believe that needs to be as it's defined in the database. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to define it that way, I know that much. So we'll do that. And that will just be directly the current. So this would be better labeled as current ID. So we'll do current ID. And then the sort order is what I called it, right? Yes. Sort order as just I. So it'll start at 0, and then as it loops through it, it will increment it as needed. Yeah, so that should be all that we need for the assets. And then we will do await post related assets, not sync, we're saving, so the detach would be pointless, but we will attach, and then it's already an array, so we should be able to just provide an asset, and it's not happy. So what aren't you happy about here? Asset ID sort order, so array of undefined is not assignable to parameter of type string or number array. Let me go take a look at what I thought it was just no, it is an object, isn't it? It's the object, the ID is the key. Yeah, so I need to go take a look at that and remind myself how that works. So database down to many to many. Should be something like save pivot. Attach, maybe it's in attach. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so not quite an array, but rather an object where the key is the, okay, so let me get rid of that. Const asset data equals asset IDs dot reduce previous current ID and index, same as before. And then instead of starting with an array, we'll start with an object, and then we will return a spread of previous, and then we will add on the current ID, and that will have, does that need to be, well, I'll define it as it's defined in the database. Sort order of our I. Think that should be it. We can actually clean that up a little bit by getting rid of the, I don't know whether or not that would actually be cleaning it up or just making it even messier. But we'll try that and see. Yeah, it's not horrible. Okay. And then instead of assets here, it would be asset data. And it's still red. What am I getting wrong now? Argument of type object or undefined is not assignable to a parameter of type string number. Should be an object though. No, it is an array, isn't it? No, it should be an object. You got an object right there. Right? We're going to try this out. Okay. So let me copy this. I saved that as asset IDs, right? Yeah. Whoop. Oh, man, I fat-fingered it. Shit. Varian says, I've been using this framework for about 5 months in development, scheduled to go to production in January. Sorry for my... Oh, your English is good. That's awesome. Hopefully you have a smooth transition to production whenever you do launch. I guess I need to type this all back out. Let me go ahead and just exit this so that all that gets cleaned up. Then I'll go back into it and try that once more. Okay. Const asset IDs equals array of 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Const asset data equals asset IDs dot reduce previous current ID and I. And then we have returning an object. If I hit enter, is this going to... Damn, yeah. All right, let's try that again. Nope, shift enter doesn't do it either. Okay, well, let's just keep typing in. Prev, otherwise, current ID is an object with sort order of I, and then hopefully I got that right. Did it work? I don't think it did. Otherwise we would have got undefined back, wouldn't we have? Well, let's see if it's saved. Asset data is an empty object. Okay. All right, well. Maybe I am misremembering how to use reduce. Where's my post service? There it is. So in here, I think I have a function called sync posts and sync series and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna cheat and sync assets, IDs, reduce. Yeah, that's fairly similar to what I'm doing already. Maybe I just need to call sync. I don't know. I am doing some checking to make sure that the array is an actual array. I'm going to copy this and just compare it and see how different it is. So reduce, previous, term prev. Yeah, that's the same. So it could just be Visual Studio Code not quite cooperating with me. It could be that this needs to be sync. Let's try sync. I'm going to try manually defining something in there and seeing whether or not I get the red squiggly there too. All right. So let's change that back to attach. So I've got a feeling it's just Visual Studio Code maybe. Let's do one with a... Nope, that's very... Okay. It must be something... I don't know. That's strange. Well, I mean, that's trying to return back an empty object or undefined. I'm gonna cheat. Let's see here. So post service. Oh, passed it. Sync nope, did not quite pass it. Sync assets right here. And okay, yeah, so we need to get rid of that undefined is what it looks like. So it's Visual Studio Code tacking. Oop, that's the wrong app. Tacking on that X or question mark, I think, causing the issue. So if we change that to an exclamation, yep, okay, that is indeed it. Surprised my head didn't go there. So then we would want that to be within our validator to either be required, or we could default it to an array if it's not provided, something like that. I think we'll go with that approach because the assets aren't required, so we'll go with that approach. Okay, so that should work for the store. Then we just need to do the same thing for the update, and instead of copying and pasting that directly, again, we will move that out into a service, which don't think I have a post service quite yet, so we'll go ahead and create one of those. Okay. And just so that it can be used for both the store and the update, I'm going to, instead of calling attach for storing and sync for update, I'm just going to call sync for both. It won't hurt anything. So actually, I meant the caveat. So we want both of these. So we'll want to cut that out completely. And sync assets. We'll define what it takes here in a second. So first and foremost, it's going to need the post, and it's going to need the asset IDs. So I would say take the post first, and then take the asset IDs, which is where we can now define this as an array of numbers, or default it to an empty array. So we'll do number array equals empty array in case it's not provided, which allows us to clean that up to just back to asset IDs. And then this also needs to be async. And then that should be it, I think, right? Yes. Okay. And then we just need to call it. So a couple of ways that we can get this into our post controller. We can either manually define it on the constructor, or we can use the IOC container to inject it. So we'll do inject there, and then we will stub our constructor public post service as type post service. And there we go. So now our post service is available via this. So we do await this dot post service dot sync assets post and asset IDs. This could also very well have been a static, like nothing in here requires HTTP context. So on second thought, yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's make you static. I can't immediately think of anything that we're going to need a post service for that cannot be static, or that wouldn't be overly drawn out being static. So to keep things clean, let's actually just go ahead and make this static. And then since we are no longer using the HTTP for this, let's move it out. Okay, and then we no longer need the bind for this, and it'll no longer be on this. It'll just be accessible. So we no longer need the constructor. So pardon me for that little circle there. So now instead of this post service, it's just await post service. I don't want to make things more difficult than they need to be. So let's go with this approach. And then down here on the updates, after we save, let's go ahead and do the same thing. So await post service dot sync assets, and we actually need to extract this out of the validation data as well. So asset IDs. Oop. There we go. This takes the post and the asset IDs. So, and then lastly, whenever we delete a post, we also want to delete any of its assets. So let's see here. I can't think of an instance where we would, because images are going to be tightly woven to the post. Like I don't have an image library where the post will be able to share assets. So let's just completely delete the image whenever you delete the post too. So that comes into the storage service. I think I have a delete or destroy function on this that actually destroys the actual thing. So we'll want to call that. So we'll want to import that as well. Import storage. So, does that take the file name? Yeah. Okay. So we'll need to query. So why don't we put that in service as well? Well, we'll write it out first, and then we'll move it into the service. So const assets equals post.related assets dot query dot well, yeah, that'll be all right. We could have just loaded it, but that way the assets are directly in here. And then select. I'm trying to think if I can both select and delete, but I think that would be counterintuitive. So we'll select just the file name. I think I have that all under case, lowercase. Yeah. So file name is all that we want. And then asset file names. And then we'll also do await post related assets query dot detach and then delete. Well, all right, let's go ahead and select the IDs then too. Let's see. So I don't use cascades. So if I just delete the assets, it won't detach them. So I need to manually detach and then delete. If you're using cascades, then that's really not, that's a one-step solution. So then we'll take those IDs. So we'll just change this back to assets. And we'll do, let's see, const asset IDs equals assets dot map. Oh, whoops. Forgot to put an await on the front of that. Okay, so now we have an array of just the IDs. So we're going to do await because we've detached before we deleted, so now we can't do related to get the related post that we need to delete. So we'll do await asset query wherein asset IDs delete. So oh no, what have I got going on here? Oh yeah, no, I need to specify that those are for the ID. There we go. We could do file names as well, but just in case, we'll do it specifically on the IDs. And then we also want to delete the actual asset file. So we have the IDs here. Let's also do const asset file names. Okay, and then I don't think I have a storage service solution that takes multiple. It's just one at a time. And I don't know whether or not the S3 SDK has like delete objects where it takes an array. Sure, you got buckets, but I don't. Oh yeah, there it is. Delete. So let's try to write that up real quick, so that I don't have to loop over it and call this destroy. I don't know why I have this difference of the file name where the actual it's stored as all lowercase, but I have this file capital N names. So it'll be a string array, taking the same arguments from thereafter. Directory, return back a promise of a boolean, just stating whether or not they were successfully deleted. Const params, it's not the end of the world if they don't successfully delete. I can set up a cron job to check for any unused assets and purge them. So it's no biggie if there is an issue here, but ideally it should work. Okay, and then directory, I don't know why I'm not just copying and pasting this from right above, but whatever. Actually, that's going to need to, yeah. Take a look and see. So destroy objects. What do you take? So this disk, which is the S3 SDK instance, delete objects. All right, let's take a look at the other usage. Delete objects request. So I need to figure out what all that takes. See if I can inspect this. Peek. Not going to tell me. Let's try clicking into it. Oh no, that's the output. No, I didn't want the output. Shoot. Peak definition. Compact. So we want the other usage. Where's the other usage at? Right above it. Yeah, there you go. Delete objects request, which takes the bucket, which I believe we have. Bucket name delete. So delete's got to be an object containing like the file names and all that, right? I was hoping it'd be right next to it. All right, let's go into delete. Oh, I could have just. So objects. I'm not going to remember this. We got. All right. So it takes what? Bucket first, right? Delete. What was that? Something delete request. Delete object request. Objects request. Yeah, bucket and then delete. So bucket delete. Oop. And then objects. I don't know why I would need to do that quietly. So we'll do object. I keep wanting to switch app. Objects, which is what, another object? Object identifier list, which then should be just the file names, right? Object identifier, key, version ID. So yeah, that's where I would have then just the keys. So this, let's see if we can, would be no, we won't need an index. Prev, and then no, this is an array, right? Objects is an array. It would have to be. start back up at the top. Delete object request. Come on, click it. Click it. There you go. Delete objects, which is a list. Yeah, so it's an array. Okay, that definitely makes, because I was going to say that would have to be a key for each of these. That doesn't make any sense. So instead of reducing here, this would be an array. So file names.map, file name, if I can spell it, and then an object with capital K key as file name. And I think that should be it. And we should be able to use it the same as just delete object up above. Up above. So it would be params dot promise to turn it into a promise. And then I was giving Sublime Text a test run, which is why I didn't know that that red squiggly was there. But, oh well. I know that that works, so it's no biggie. I'm just going to ignore it for right now. Okay. Directory. Oh, yeah, okay. So we need to do this for the key, not just file name. All right, cool. So that should be okay. So now we should be able to call destroy all and pass it in an array of the file names. So await. Don't really need to await this. There's no reason to. It's not something that's necessarily required. So we'll just do this synchronously, or not synchronously, but we won't make the request wait for it. So we'll do storage service dot destroy all. No reason to make the request wait for it here, so we'll just pass in our asset file names, and that should be it. So that should work. Okay. So now whenever, this is all for destroying a post, remember. So now let's go ahead and, well, that's not all that bad, but to give this section of code a particular name, let's move this out into the service. So looks like all that we would need is the post. So post service public static async. Well, it's doing more than detaching. Destroy assets. That, yep. Take the post of type post, and I think that would be it. Because then we're finding the asset off of the post. Need to import asset itself, and we need to import storage service. And that should be it. And then on the flip side, we will do await post service destroy assets, and we need to await this here because we cannot delete the post up until the actual assets are deleted and detached from the post itself. Otherwise we'll get a foreign key issue, and then we need to pass out the post. Okay, looks good. I'm gonna get a drink. Okay. Shall we give it a test run? So I'm going to go ahead. If I can spell, try to get in the DigitalOcean here. If it doesn't make me open up my email. Cool. Let's go into my space. Not the site, but my Jaeger space. So as I was mentioning, like with the sharp alterations, so whenever an alteration is done, that alteration version is stored in this .cache file. So all of these are altered images Oh, they're folders. So the image itself, so that's the image file name. And then inside of it are all of the specific alterations. So that's how that's being done. So these are all, so like all the alterations for this image are within this folder. And you can see this is one of the earlier lessons, so it's gone through a couple of iterations of the site. So, and then it would absolutely not hurt anything to just delete this cache folder should anything ever get too big. And then any images still in use next time that they're requested, the new cache version would just be stored in here, and this folder would be created. So that's what's happening there. And the same thing I think is happening inside of local, and then public I think uses that one. No, it looks like it has its own. So I've changed a couple of things over the course of time, and I haven't gone through and purged this because I still have plenty of space left in this thing. So, but yeah, so let's go into local, because that's where everything that we're working with locally is going to save. And then, no, I'm not signed in with user ID 1 actually. So let's go back out to here, because I need to be an admin now to save stuff, which is my Gmail. So that user does not have an ID of 1, but rather 2 or 3. So let's go ahead, refresh, make sure that we're still logged in and everything. Looks like the avatar broke. That's funky. Okay. Wonder if we're getting a cores issue or something like that. All right, that's no big deal. At least not right now, anyway. So let's save a post. So we'll call this just testing image store. We'll give it an image. Select one of my other old thumbnails. Okay, we'll do this one. All right, so we'll select that. So now that loading indicator was just saying that it's still uploading, but now that that's gone, it's done uploading. So we now have an ID populated within our image IDs. So if I were to do document forms, I think I called this post form. Yeah. And we do asset. I don't know how that handles array fields with this. It would be, I'm not seeing it. Let's see if title's in there. Yeah, title's in there. So maybe I did not give that a name. Let's see. Here's the input. Name is, yeah, no, it's empty. So that's, well, no, that's the uploader. Nothing's actually stored on that. Once the image uploads, it's then moved into this loop, which would then have, yeah, a name of asset IDs and the value of 5 right there. So, all right, let's try just a straight up query selector. So document.query selector input name equals it's been a minute since I've worked with array-based form fields. Maybe I'll just trust it and see. Let's add a console log in there. Let's see what we get back. Oh, yeah, we can get rid of these now too. So on our store, let's just do a quick console.log of the asset ID. See whether or not we're actually getting it back. Fingers crossed that we don't run into an issue with the validator. Actually, just to make sure, I'm going to provide a future dated publish at, because I think I was dumb and I made this required. So, but just in case, we'll provide it. So let's hit it, and okay, created. Did we get console log out of our asset IDs? We did. Awesome. Did it store onto So we should have an asset with an ID of 5. We do. My user ID is 7. Oh, that's right. I've been deleting users, so that makes sense. So on our space, we should now have a folder called 7 with a file name of 2021 LB Jaeger 011 and then a timestamp. On our asset posts, there it is. Asset with an ID of 5, post with an ID of 3, sort order of 0. So if we come back into DigitalOcean, refresh, there appears to be no refresh button. So I'll refresh the page. There is our 7 folder. There is our file. So cool. Now the big thing to do is to alter it to where whenever we go back to actually edit this, we need to pre-populate that. So first things first, we need to query it on the edit page show. So we can get rid of that. We know that that's working. We know everything with store seems to be working so far, at least with one image. As for the, where's the edit? Here it is. So now instead of just doing a find or fail, it would be beneficial to preload some data onto it. Now we can either preload it or we can load it in separate. It doesn't really matter. It just changes how you reference things on the front end. So I'm going to go ahead and change this from a find or fail to a query. So we'll do const post equals await post.query, where ID is params ID, preload. I'm going to break this down. Assets. And then at some point in time, I will be putting sortable on this, so the order does matter. So we'll want to do query dot order by sort order, and we'll want that to be ascending. Actually, we can do we'll stick with that. And then anything else? I don't think so. So on the relationship, I should already have that sort order, but we wouldn't need to display that in any way on the front end. We could just use an index. No problem with that. Actually, using an index would be beneficial because then as we update the sort, that would update as well. So, okay. So now we should have the image pass through within the actual form. So if we, I have node modules open. So if we close node modules and then go down to our creator edit, and we tack above our form and inspect for post.assets, we should see, oh no. Womp womp. Did I forget my await? Nope. Oh, it's all right. Dot first or fail. There we go. So find the first post or fail. There we go. So there's our image. You can see I don't have bite-size alt text credit or anything like that saving currently. That's on the to-do list. All right, so now that we have that coming through, I need to provide that to the component. So we have the placeholder. Let's break this down. Let's do, assets as post.assets. And then within the file manager, there's a JavaScript version and the Edge version. We need to pass into this. Why do I have posts in there? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a post array in there. Let's take a look at what the script's doing. images. Okay, so I must have just gotten that wrong whenever I was, okay. So that takes images and that passes it directly into there. So what does images need? What's needed for images? So we need ID, source, and then the underlying file is there, and then whether or not it's loading. Okay. So we could map it and convert it into the format that we need it to be in here. My question is, for file, is that the actual, yeah, it would have to be the actual file and then source. So then we would also need to save whether or not it's a new image or a new image that needs uploaded. No, we wouldn't need to do that. That's just if a file is chosen that we need to upload an image. Once an image is uploaded, then we already have the ID set, and it's just a matter of managing the ID to the post. So all that we should need to do is pre-populate this. Files only needed whenever you upload. Beyond that, it's pointless. So it should just be a matter of images dot map and then mapping file name to source. Source is image dot file name. And then loading is going to be false because it's already going to be there. I think that should be it. If I was smart, I would create a constructor function to just create a new one of those so that I don't have that object in multiple places. But that's fine for now. That's fine for now. And then within here, instead of this post, we want images. And then instead of an empty array, we want, what am I passing this in? Is it assets? Assets. And then just in case assets is not provided for whatever reason, yeah, you also need to support the create case. So we have, it's very true. So the same page is used for editing and creating. So we don't have this preload for assets on the create because it's no way it's going to exist. So within, if I can get back to the creator edit, whenever we try to create, this is just going to bomb. So we need to create that as nullable because we may not have a post. And then within here, we need to do a check. So set assets equal to assets or an empty array. And then here, I think this should be okay. And then we should just need to do, we might need to stringify that or something, but we'll try this first. We'll see if that works. It's been a while since I've passed something from Edge into Alpine. I've just been using plain old Vue, so we'll see how this handles it. So we have an error. We have a list of errors. Image uploader object. Yeah, I had a feeling. Let's try JSON.stringify and see if that works first. Okay. All right. No error per se, but we did get a 404 on the image, which makes sense. I don't have that path up. Well, that's just not the right path at all. So let's see. It should be starting directly at the 3. Right, it doesn't start with a slash or anything like that. I don't think. Right, so it would just be or no, 7, starting at the 7. 3 is the post. So it's going from 7 and onward. So we need to either prefix that with the route that we'll end up using for sharp, or we need to prefix that with the actual URL to DigitalOcean. I would say in this use case, we'd probably want it to be the direct URL to DigitalOcean, but I don't know. It would also be beneficial to not have it be full size. Like if that's a 3,000 pixel image or whatever, you know, you don't need to load that in this little 100 width block. So let's go ahead and get the actual URL set up. I do not remember what that is at all, so I'm gonna just routes. So I think this is the one that I'm using now because I specifically have the user ID on there. I'll copy both of them just so that I have both of them though, and then we can get rid of the one that's not in use anymore, just in case. Okay, so we'll go back to routes and tack this in up here. Okay. Oh, I guess both of them would be. Yeah, no, it should just be this one because user ID is. All right. Well, we'll see. Let's comment this one out, and then we should now be able to take this file name, duplicate this page, and go to image and get the image. Ta-da! All right, cool. And the reason that that's working is because we have our image, and then all of our image paths start with the user ID, followed by the file name. So then within our assets controller, there is the show method, which I think I showed earlier on, which takes any active query parameters with any alterations that it should be done on sharp. If there aren't any, then it just won't alter it. So if it's not cached and it's not an SVG, then it will check whether or not it actually exists using our storage service. So this is checking to make sure that it exists on DigitalOcean. If it does not exist, using this temp name, which includes the temporary directory, which is cache, followed by the path, which is what tacks on whether it should be looking in. I actually don't really know what that does. Oh, okay. It just joins the wildcard together. The wildcard route params together. So it's just building out the path, really. And then it just takes the actual file name, which is appended on any of the image options that should be used with sharp. And then, so if that does not exist, then it will try to get the altered image. If it can get the altered image, then it will upload that to that cache temporary folder. Otherwise, if there is not an image, then it will try to get the direct buffer from S3. If it's an SVG, it will use the actual path. If it's not, then it will use the temporary path. And then it will set it as cached, because if it had reached that point, then it would have been cached, because this is what's uploading the cached version right here. And then it's appending on to the content type for this response, the format of the image, and then it's actually just returning back the image itself, which is why we get the direct image from here. So the first request took a second. The rest are nice and speedy because it has within the cache whether or not it needs to check for the file. Or it has within the cache whether or not it is cached, and it doesn't actually need to check for the file first to just see whether or not it is cached. So all we need to do is prefix this with that /image. So we can actually create, just so that I don't, like, if that ever changes in the future for whatever reason, we can create a global function to do that. That way we just need to change it once in that global function as opposed to everywhere. So within here, we have view already. We already have a global, so we just need to do view global. I mean, we could use make route for this, but I think it's going to be, let's call this image. Taking file, see, inconsistent with that. Taking file name and return back /image /file name. And that really should be it. So just have it called image. And then within our file manager, we can tell you what, actually, let's do a computed property on the asset. Public get, and we'll call this asset URL, relative. Asset URL is good. And then we will return back essentially the same thing that we just did for that global function. Why don't we just move that off into the service, and then we'll just use the service in both. So asset service, everything in here is static. So we'll just do public static get asset URL, taking the file name, sure, as a string, and we will return /image/ do the exact same thing that we just did on the global variable, and then we'll go down to that, and we will, do I need to import that instead of boot? Nope, shouldn't need to. Import asset service from app services asset service, and then now we can replace this function with that function. So asset service dot get asset URL, give that a good save, come back down to our asset model, and now we can do the same thing here. So return asset service get asset URL, and then this would just be this dot file name. And that should be good. Then we should just be able to use asset URL in place of let's see, that would be in our JavaScript version, in place of file name. Since it's a computed property on the model, it will be serialized. So whenever we do JSON.stringify, it will be here. So we should be able to do asset URL, give that a save, come back to here, and bam, there it is. And then if I hit this delete button, it's going to delete the file off of the server, and it's also going to delete it off of the image immediately, I believe. We could test it, wouldn't hurt. So let's verify. That is image with an ID of 5. Make sure it's still there. And if we hit delete, boom, it's gone. And if we come back into here and we refresh, it's gone out of the database. And if we come back into spaces, this file should be gone. It should just be an empty local folder. Bam. Cool. We upload it again. There we go. Now we should have ID of 6, yes. And we should have another image here. Oop. And there it is. And if we refresh this page at this point in time, this image will still be here, but it will be the one with the ID of 6. So go ahead and test that. Oh, I lied. Shoot. Okay. Why is that gone? It's definitely attached onto here. Oh, that didn't open up where I thought it would. It's definitely attached on the database. It definitely exists. So why did that not populate? Had to do one more just for sanity's sake. Okay. Let's dig into that. Let's see why that didn't populate, because it definitely should have. Where do I want to go? Let's go into the, let's start with the creator edit. All right, let's drop another inspect just above our form of our post.asset assets. And it's an empty array. So it's at the query level that things are going awry. All right. So that would make me wonder. We uploaded it, but we never saved it, so it never got saved to the post. That makes sense. So then that would just be an image getting stuck in limbo, which not fun, but if we're creating them, we don't necessarily have an ID. So, and I definitely want them to create automatically whenever you upload them, because reasons. So, all right, not the end of the world, but we could change that to automatically bind to the image. So wherever that file manager is, tack on a post ID on there of post.id, and then within the file manager component, because we want to pass it through. Post ID of post ID. Really, we could just pass through the whole post, but it's not really needed. I don't imagine a case where we would need anything besides the ID. So we'll leave it as is, and then within the JavaScript portion of this, we need post ID on here as well, which will default, which we don't need a default for because we want it to be undefined if it's not there. And we'll add that into the no, that doesn't need to be added into the state. We can just use it directly off of here. So then if we go and look at the upload, there's the delete. Here's the get payload. I think that's where we would want it to be. Form data dot, well, we want this to be inside of an if, so let's give this some spaces. So if post ID form data append post ID of post ID. So then that should, because here's the get payload call, so then that should send up with this Studio Assets post to the API endpoint. And then I need to check whether or not I have any validation going on for that. I don't think I have a class validation for it. No, I do not. Sorry, I accidentally clicked. So then within our assets controller on post store, we need to get whether or not there is a post ID. So I guess I also need to put that try catch back in at some point. So const post ID equals request dot what is it? Only post ID, and then that would be an object, so we would just extract that out of there. There we go. All right. So if post ID, then after we create the asset, we would want to do await asset dot related posts dot attach that post ID. So, right? Yeah. Ideally, we would check to verify that this post ID exists as well, so that we don't get a foreign key error here. So we'll bypass that for right now, though. Let's just check and make sure that this actually works. So I'm going to try to, let's go ahead and refresh for sanity's sake. Try to upload a different image. Let's go with this one, LLA 502. Let's open that. That took a while. So I'm selecting these images off of a NAS server that I have here at my house. It's a server that runs off of my Wi-Fi. So it could be an issue with my Wi-Fi. Is for the reason why that took so long. Looks like we got back at 500. Insert into asset posts, null value in column post ID. So click post ID went up as null. So maybe that's not on the, oh, yeah, see, I absolutely hate Firefox whenever it comes to inspecting multi-part payloads. It does not handle it well. So, does not look like it went up with the payload. I did save it, yeah? Yeah, all right. I guess a good starting point is to check whether or not it's there. Like, actually in this script. So whenever it's instantiated, let's go ahead and console.log post ID. Okay. Yep, it's there. All right. So why would that not send up with it? It could be the way that I'm grabbing it. That's the actual issue. Well, and maybe I just didn't actually see it within the payload. I'm going to go ahead and console.log out the form data here as well. But before it, no, that does already have the image on it. Let's do this before the image, and then we'll console.log it out. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was after the image. Maybe it did actually send up, and it was just after. Okay. And then, so we know that that one's working, so we can get rid of that. And then within our assets controller, on store. See, it could be the way that I'm getting it. I might be misremembering that portion right there. Tell you what. Let's debug it and see. Don't think I have my debug key in here yet. Their script. Okay. And then I am not going to use Firefox. Well, I can't use Firefox for this. but I do not like Firefox's debugger. So let's see what I have Edge. And then I need to restart my server using, excuse me, got something stuck in my throat. Okay. So I gotta restart my server. npm run debug. Go back to Edge, go back to localhost 3333. I need to sign in. Oh, bollocks. Okay, there we go. So we'll go ahead, get into that form. All right, and then let's inspect, and then we'll open up the node debugger. Verify that I actually put that debugger keyword in there. Yep, cool. So what I want to do is I want to scope out, one, is post ID actually something? Two, is it on this only call, or do I need to access it somewhere else? I don't know if multi-part changes things. I don't know if having a manually processed route, which this is, changes things. That's why I'm not digging into the documentation for this per se, but rather just going straight to a debugger. So let's go ahead, try to upload an image here. So let's go to you, go to you, go to you. Scroll down some more, go to you, and let's try you. All right, let's open you up. All right, we're at our debugger point. Let me hit next so that it actually goes to the proper place. So post ID is indeed undefined here. Our request, let's dig into you. So the body is empty, the data is empty, params are empty, but that makes sense. We have multi-part data. It could be in here, inside of fields. Fields looks empty. I really don't think it would be in files, so it would be the actual file. Okay, let's try. Well, I'm already in request, so I'm not going to dig into request again. All right, it doesn't really look like it went up with it. So I must not have been seeing the form data wrong. It must not be sending up, but I don't know why it wouldn't be sending up. It's in there. It has a value. So I'm going to go ahead and see. I don't know if I can. I don't think Chrome lets you inspect anything network-wise until it resolves. But we'll try. Yeah. Yeah, no, there it is. Yeah, it's there. Okay. I wonder if I need to get it the exact same, like, request multi-part form data or whatever that was that I was seeing in there. Because like I was saying, this is a manually processed route. So it's perfectly possible that Adonis doesn't have any of the information with any of the data that was sent, in terms of like having it populated directly onto the request. So let me scope in on the multi-part. Maybe it's in there. If it is in there, I would imagine it would be on the fields, but I'm not seeing it there. But then again, I don't see the file on the files either, but that's definitely there. So maybe it, I don't know. Well, that does take a callback too, though, doesn't it? I could just make this easier on myself and pass it up as a param. But I would love to have the, not need to define a separate route for it. Yeah, I don't. I'm going to take a look at the documentation real quick, because I do have the manually processed kind of mentioned a little bit in here. Under the direct file uploads. So like that's managing the stream. Oh, gotcha. Not going to be available until after the process. That makes sense. So I should have started with the documentation. Okay, let's continue on with that. We'll accept the failure at that point. We'll close out of this. And close out of that. Close out of, I'll undo that. So, not available until after the process. So we need to remove this. What are they? What are they using? Input. Input's query string, isn't it? I don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure that I have this right. So we'll stick with this. Now, since it's processed, we should be able to get it off of the request, is what I'm getting at. So we'll try that. See if that works. So we'll save that, and we'll give that another go. I'm trying to think if I changed anything else that I need to undo. I don't think so. Oh, need to restart the server back into watch mode so that it actually picks up the changes. npm run dev. There we go. And I'm going to close Edge. There we go. All right. I just saw you refresh, but I'm going to do a manual refresh just for sanity's sake. And, all right. Let's try this again. This image would have been up there a couple times by now, so let's do... Nope, definitely not a PSD. All right, let's do this one. All right. So let's open it up. All right, we got back some errors. And it was the, is it still the same issue? Yeah. No, this time it's on sort order. Cool. So that means that we're getting the post ID. Yeah. So that's working. So now, yeah. Instead of updating it like that, we want to get the most recent sort for the post as well. So const post asset max sort, not the best name, but let's roll with it. Awaits post dot query dot where ID is post ID, and no, sorry, not post. Undo. Where? So we want the intermediary table. So we'll want to do database from asset posts. Is that what it's called? Asset posts. Okay. And then all that we need to do is order by the sort order. Oh, well, we also need to do the where, right? Where post ID is post ID, and then order by descending of the sort order, and then first, no, we don't want to fail, but we do want a default. You know what would be a nice extension to this is first or default. Okay, so wait, 0, default it to 0. Okay. Think I have that right. So we'll get the max sort for the asset post table for the post ID, descending order of the sort order if the one's not found. Actually, we're going to be doing increment of 1. So let's do -1. That way it defaults to 0. So then we'll change this from an array to an object with the, what is this? The post ID? The post ID. So that would be post ID and sort order of post asset max sort +1. Or we could just do ++. Okay, it doesn't like that, so we'll do +1. And now that should save the sort order along with the post, so that should get rid of that error. And I might move that into a service because that kind of prolongs this already kind of long function a little bit more. So this failed, so we'll go ahead. I doubt that delete's going to work, but we'll try deleting it. Yeah, I didn't think it would. What'd you fail on, out of curiosity? Yeah, I never saved into the database, but it saved up on the server. Okay, gotcha. So we'll just refresh. We'll try this one more time. So, all right, let's move into one of the quick. Nope, that was a quick tip on one. Let's do one of the old thumbnails. All right, yeah, cool. So that seems to have worked. We got back at 200 with the asset response, and it updated here. Okie dokie. And if we refresh here, we're going to see several images, but we should see one in particular. That is, yeah, the Adonis 5 controllers image that we just uploaded. And now this file should be bound to the post without saving. So if we refresh, it should still be there. Fingers crossed. All right. Cool. And then if we delete it, it should go away. And looks like it did. Should be gone from here. Should be gone from the database as well. Actually, I never even, but yeah, we can tell by the file name that it's not in there anymore. And then if we refresh here, it should have no issues and not show it. So cool. And now let's go ahead, and before we wrap up, let's go ahead and test multi-file. So upload you. I think I have the uploader is just one at a time. So we'll have to do this one at a time. But there's one. Do you. There's two. Oh no. Insert into asset posts. Invalid input syntax for type integer. Object. Oh yeah. Okay. So this isn't necessarily returning back just the number. It's returning back the whole record results. But I think since this is a database module, if we just select a single column, maybe it would return back just the number. Let's see. So we just want to get back to sort order. What post ID is this? 3? Yeah. I think it's load DB. Yeah, load DB. So we'll do await. Where's my code? Await database from asset posts. There it is. It's just DB in here, isn't it? Dot where post ID is 3. Order by sort order descending. Dot select sort order. Dot first. Right? Yep. Okay, cool. So that does now just come back with the sort order, but it's still with an object. So I want to extract it out of that object. So we'll do sort order as post asset max sort. There we go. So now this should work. Wait a minute. The OR needs to now be or be an object of sort order with -1. There we go. All right, so that's not very clean, but it should work. Always clean it up later. Always say that, but boy, does that rarely ever happen. So if we reload, we should still have this username sign in and post crud thumbnail, which we do. And now if we select our second image, we'll do this one. Awesome. So that uploaded as well. We'll do a third one. And that one went as well. So now if we check the database, we should have 3 images tied to the post. Oh, this is just the asset table. But we have all 3 of those images there. And if we check this table, we should have 3 images tied to the post with an ID of 3, which we do. And without saving, if we go ahead, reload, all 3 of those images should still be there, which they are. And then we can save, go back to edit, and it should still be there. Can't access property after K is undefined. Let me look up one more. Can't access property after K. Oh, that says the same thing. K. Where are you getting K from? It's definitely in the image loop. All right. It's the one feedback I have from Alpine is their errors could use some work. But apart from that, it's a great package. Expression images. So if I had to guess, images is undefined, and that's what this K is. So why would images be undefined? Well, we've tried refreshing and everything worked, but whenever we actually saved, the asset IDs must not have sent up, and we are calling sync. So if they don't send up, then they get detached. So my guess is maybe they got detached. Oh no, that's even worse. They got reattached. Okay, am I calling attach instead of sync on sync assets? That would be a brain fart if I am. Let's see. Where is that? That's in the post service. Yep, call and attach. That should be sync. So the good news is they're still sending up on the edit and they're saving on the edit. The bad news is we have duplicate records now. So let's see how that handles that. So each of these have their own unique ID. The sort order duplicated, the asset ID is duplicated. I have to assume nothing's going to handle this. So if we refresh, we're probably going to get 6 assets. No, we're still going to get an error. Well, that makes sense, because we really didn't fix anything. We just changed how it was stored. Cannot access property after K is undefined. So are we getting back our images at all? Are they coming back? Let's go into our creator edit and inspect post.assets. Yeah, they're there. Okay. So it's probably a duplicate key issue, if I had to guess, maybe within that loop. So where is that key? Right here. Oh no, that's the image ID. Yeah, no, that still would be duplicate, wouldn't it? No. Yeah, it would be. That's not the intermediary table ID. That's, so I know. Well, I don't know how to do index in Alpine. I don't think it's provided as a secondary argument to the X4. I think it's more like Angular, where it's just index. I don't know. We'll try that. And oh, it's not that. Okay. Try the other approach then. Maybe it is more like Vue now. I thought it was like Angular. Yep. So it's an index issue. Essentially, duplicate IDs. Well, that should never happen, but now that we're calling sync anyway. But before we save that, we can fix that by deleting. Oh no, that deleted both of them. Oh well. All right. Well, we'll keep 2. We'll just go into the database and clean that up. So I would imagine that only. Oh no, that did. Okay. So let's see. You and you go away. Okay. Because we still want some on here to test with, and then now if we change this back to image ID, should be okay. And now if we go back to post them back in, it should still be okay. Yeah. And now if we republish, it should not have reduplicated itself because we're calling sync, but they should still be there. Yeah. Cool. So now if we come back in, we should see the exact same thing as before. Awesome. Last thing to check with this. Does create still work? Or did I completely break it? So far, so good. Let's give it a title. And let's give it an image. Yeah. All right. I bet you it's something to do with that. Yep. All right. So this is going to be within the assets controller. We need, I thought I put that in an if, but evidently I did not. So let's do if post ID, and that should do it. Only want to query the sort, and only want to bind it to the post if there is an actual post ID to bind to. So the alternative approach to that is to immediately create a post whenever you hit new post, and then have anything that you do within here just update. So then this page would just always be an update page and not a create page. That's the alternative approach that I could do. But for right now, I don't see this as being that big of an issue. I never really write in here anyway. I always just import. So that won't be too big of an issue. So let's go ahead and try. Okay, cool. So we're back to working now. Try another image just for sanity's sake. Make sure I'm not doing a PSD. There we go. Okay. And let's give it a title. And let's publish. Hold on. So actually, yeah, okay, so I don't need to publish it. Okay, cool. So creation's working, editing is working. Those could use a loading icon, but also they're still showing the full size. So that's the last thing that we could do is tack on a file size to that. Actually, so let's go. Well, where is that? That's in the file manager. Yeah. So that do it inside of the template actually. So on the end of the image, where's the source? Here's the source. We will change that into a ternary, or not a ternary, but this is just template, a stringlet, whatever that backticks are called. And we'll tack on a query string of width. I don't think that's quite one. What is your width? 176. So we can just, let's round up, do 200. So we can give it a save. And now those images should come through as actually 200 pixels wide. And voila, 200 pixels. So that cuts back on the amount that it actually needs to load. And they're a little bit pixelated. Although I am on a high resolution display, so it should be more like 400. So, all right, let's change that to 400. I could just put a source, image picture source with like the multi whatever, but not that big of a deal, especially not in the back end where SEO is not an issue at all. So there we go. That's much more clear. And there should now be 400 pixels. Cool. And so now if we go into, I don't know whether or not, based off of looking at the code, it should be on the root cache. Nope, it sure is not. So it must be in local. I must have that scope in it somehow. So cache, there's my 7. So now we should see, oh, what are those images? Installing Lucid and getting data by the users. I don't know what I called that one. But if we go into, I think it's this one. So if we go into this one now, nope. Either that or it's not saving right. Well, this was saved 11 minutes ago. So undefined. That's not ideal. 1 hour ago. All right. Well, all right, that's fine. So the other one was installing Lucid. Those are ones where I actually named it after the lesson. So it's going to be one of these two. I'm going to take a gander and say that timestamp's bigger. Yeah, so here we go. So I need to fix that where if it's not defined, it doesn't come through. But so you can see this width undefined, quality undefined, which should just not be there, is for the normal full-size image. And then we have width 400, which is the 400 width image cached. Then we have the width 200, which is the 200 image width cached. So that's kind of how that cache is working, just to give you a visual of what I was talking about earlier. Apart from that, I think that this is a good stopping point for today. We went on 3 hours today, so half hour longer than we have been doing. But we got the images fully working for our post. The other side of the equation is to actually show them, which we have already working. We just need to actually implement it on the front end side. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff ahead. Lots of fun stuff I think we covered today. Hopefully it made sense. I know I just kind of scanned through what I have with my images. All of this is up on the GitHub, which is down in the description, linked down in the description. So you can always check all of this out as well. I'll be pushing this up just after I end the stream. So thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this was beneficial in some way. If it was, let me know what you learned and what you found beneficial about it. I'd really appreciate it. Apart from that, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. I'll see you next time.